Okay, welcome to join the committee meeting. First of all, some overall data update for V1.14.1. We have planned a tentative release date that is August 5th. So I think there are some already have some opened issues for 1.14.1. So I think we have about 2 weeks to investigate and fix from now. And for we 1.15, we are reviewing the candidates, and the feature freeze is on 28th. So we still have some time to add more candidates to the list. That's overall status. Some more updates. I have started the data more microservice tasks. The tasks have been broken down, and I have started several tasks. Implementation of several tasks. And the other thing is have created a design PR for the backup repository configuration. That is to fix two issues. One is the catch limit to allow user to set the catch limit. The other is the other one is for user to set the compression feature. This is for the design, and we will implement the catch limit, but we may not implement the compression for 1.15. But design will cover the both and will include all other similar configurations for the backup reports. So please help to review it. That's it. And next one, Shubham, please.
Yeah, last week I updated the PR. This issue is targeted for 1.14.1. So this is to skip the PV patch step that we do in the finalize phase of restore workflow. So we'll be skipping it for cases when pods are not included and the PVCs remain in pending state for storage class wait for first consumer. So that's the overview. I got an act from Scott. I think Tiger also reviewed it. Maybe you guys could take another look and like final reviews
Yeah,
on. Yeah,
yeah, we have discussed this uh, some days ago, and we'll continue review it and we'll leave comment or approve it. So,
thank you. Other than that, I did some PR reviews on designs and codes. That's it.
okay, thanks. And Tiger, please.
Hi. So, um, this week I found that we weren't logging S3 requests. And there was an issue where someone tried to look at the debug logs and there was nothing around S3. And in this PR, I enabled the logging. I checked the SDK and you had to add some flags to enable logs. So that's that.
So it's about the recent the new SDK, right? Because
Yeah,
okay.
yep, just the new SDK, just debug logs. And then the other one is just that I'm starting to continue work on the download server again. And yeah, that's my status.
Okay, thanks. And I think here we have bump up the SDK. So the original problem is about the logs. So because of the logs, we need the new configuration of the logs. We need to uh, uh, bump up the SDK version. Is that right?
The SDK was already bumped up. I'm not sure if that removed the logging or not, but um, with the new version, the V2, you have to specifically in your configuration set a logging mode, and you have to add a logger to the config.
Okay. Okay, got that. Okay, we will review that.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. And Xin, please.
I'm working on the E2E test enhancement and also working on the 1.15 and 1.15.1's issue fix. Basically, that's all from my side.
Okay, thanks. And so that's it for the status update. So next, discussion topics. First one from Xin, please.
Yeah, this one was discussed. I already had some discussion on this issue with Scott and Tiger. And lately, I also discussing this issue in the Velero team, and there is some disagreement about how to handle this scenario. And originally, I think this one should be handled as partially failed, and I think that's the exactly behavior that lasts for several releases in Velero, and but there's also some consideration since maybe fail this request backup request earlier because the namespace it has some non-existing namespace, maybe more reasonable. So I posted here and let's discuss which one is better.
So I think there's two things to look at. One, you already mentioned the previous behavior. I think we should consider that, of course, is what people are used to. It had been partially failed for a long time. A recent change inadvertently changed that so that we lost that partial failure and it went back to succeeded. When we fixed that problem, we went the other direction and now it's failing validation. I think partially failed is more consistent with the way we handle backup errors in general, because if a pod or a PVC or something else doesn't exist, or it fails, and one item we can't back up, or some group of items we can't back up, we partially fail, as long as we could back up some things. And to me, a namespace missing is in a similar situation. The user that created this issue, their situation is, you have a schedule, you have a list of namespaces. Say some user deletes one of those namespaces. Partially failed makes sense, so we can log the error. Hey, this namespace couldn't be backed up. Here's the error. But those other namespaces that still exist, we missed the backup if we fail validation. So if we have a scheduled nightly backup of a group of namespaces and one of those namespaces gets deleted inadvertently, we shouldn't fail the other namespace backups because one of them's missing. So I think partially failed is perfect because we still successfully back up the rest of the namespaces. We log the error so users have a way of seeing, oh, here's a problem, the namespace got deleted. I either need to go update my backup to not try to back that up, or I need to recreate it. I think the problem is that, especially if you have multiple namespaces, if one user deletes a namespace, that might inadvertently affect some other user's namespace not getting backed up anymore. So that's why I think partially failing is a better solution than failing validation.
Yeah. So here, yes, of course, the legacy behavior for this case is it's partially failed. Yes, but when we see the changes that the targeting just make it partially fail. We can see that we need to break the edge of the validation phase and the backup running phase. So for the Velero backup, we first do some validation, right? And then we run the backup. But the validation actually doesn't have the ability to make the backup partially fail.
Yeah,
because,
that's why I think validation may be the wrong place to do this. And again, the long-standing Velero behavior for many releases was we partially failed. Then we made a change in, I think, 1.12 where that went away and we succeeded, and so that caused a user to create an issue saying, hey, we're not seeing these partial failures anymore. It's causing a problem for automation. We need to fix this. And the fix was to fail validation, which helped that user, but then it broke other use cases where, again, we have, I think the scenario where we need partial failure and not fail validation is one where you have a smaller number of backups that have a bunch of namespaces. So if I'm an administrator and I'm backing up, say 10 namespaces at a time in a backup, and one of my users deletes a namespace, I don't want the other 9 namespace users to lose their backup because one user deleted a namespace. That's why I think we need partial failure, and failed validation is a regression.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here, so I think the major concern is how do we if we have the checks or the breakout still in the validation phase, and on the other hand, the validation phase doesn't have any way to make the backup partially fail.
Yeah, I think the validation phase is probably the wrong place for this.
Okay. Okay. So here, okay, I think
if you look at Velero 1.10, for example, or 1.11, that the behavior there was partial failure. I don't actually know what changed exactly. That changed, and we lost that error. But it may be when if the namespace is included, when we got to back up the namespace, that's the place to put the error, saying, oh, namespace is included, I'm backing up the namespace, it doesn't exist. Now we just add an error, as part of the backup item workflow. That may be the place to do it.
Okay. So for this one, we are on the same page that we cannot make the validation phase to include make the validation include the partially fail mechanism. That is one point. We are on the same page.
Okay.
Now next about whether this one is a validation error or I mean the logically whether this is a validation error or a backup running error. Actually, here I don't have very strong opinion on this, but I think it's more like a validation error. But as you mentioned, practically when user use the backup, yes, they don't want to fail the backup if one namespace doesn't exist. So practically it's more like a running backup error.
Yes, I think so.
But logically it's a validation error. So here I don't have a strong opinion on this. I think we can decide. If we all agree that we move this check in the backup running phase, I think it's also okay. But we cannot keep it in the validation phase, and still make the backup partially fail. That's
right. Yeah. Partially failed by its nature is not a validation issue. That is a partially failed means I'm going through a backup. I have a list of items. I'm going through item by item, and I hit an error. And I think if we consider namespace not existing as an error during the backup, not a validation, that allows us to do this. And again, it might be worth looking at the 1.11 branch and build a 1.11 Velero, run a backup without the namespace, see where it fails, how it fails. That's, I think, what we want to return to. Because again, if we look at the 2 user issues that kind of led to these 2 changes, one was in 1.12, we got rid of that partial failure and made it totally successful. And a user said, hey, my workflow, my notifications kind of expected that partial failure when my namespace didn't exist. I'm losing that now. I need it back. The way we fixed that was making a validation error, which then broke another user who said, hey, I need my backups for the namespace that exist to work. I think partial failure is that kind of middle ground between total success and total failure that kind of meets both of these users' needs.
Okay. Yeah. So Xin, how do you think about this idea that we move this failure on the running backup and we don't change any code of the validation?
I agree. I also think it's more reasonable and may causing less code change. I will move the check into the run backup function.
Yeah, and again, I think it might help if you look at, you know, Velero 1.11 or 1.10, see how we did it then, because we're trying to go back to that behavior, because at that point it was a partial failure. And then we started changing this. 1.12 made it a successful backup, and then 1.14 made it a failed validation, and we need to go back to what we were doing earlier. I'm not saying use that exact code, because obviously things have changed. We're doing things differently now, but I'm saying the end user visible behavior from 1.11 is what we want to go back to.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So Xin, I think you can continue to check the other way that we are discussing. We move all the checks and all the failures in the running backup phase. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And so next one, Scott, please.
Oh yeah. And just a quick note, we don't necessarily need to discuss it unless someone has specific questions, but this has been an ongoing, we've had several discussions on it. We've had a lot of productive discussions on the PR, but phase one, we want to get done in 1.15. So I'd like to get to the point where we can either finish out any final disagreements or decide that whatever questions that remain are okay to answer as part of implementation PR review. I know Anshul had some reviews last week. We discussed those. I think we're on the same page there now. So if everybody, the other maintainers, could just take a quick look at this, see that, you know, one possibility is, hey, we're good enough now to merge the design. The remaining questions are small enough we can hash them out in implementation. Or if there's any big questions that really need to be answered, then this needs to be a priority to get these resolved now, because I don't want to miss the time frame of getting this implemented in 1.15 for the phase one. So
yeah, from my side, I don't have any open questions.
Okay, so in that case, if anyone who's reviewed before, go back and look at it again, give it an act. It looks like Anshul still has some requested changes, so I can ping him offline because he's not available this time zone to see if he can go back and look at that again. As long as we get the acts and we're ready to merge that, I'd love to start implementing this in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, once this PR is merged, I think we can move this one into the milestone, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's great, because again, phase one, my plan is 1.15. Phase two is going to be probably 1.16. We're not worrying about that yet. So yeah, once we get this merged, this can move into the milestone.
Okay. We will check once more for this offline, and we will approve it if there is no more open
Sounds
questions.
Great. Just one other point. I'm going to be the U.S. has a holiday on the 4th of July, and I'm going to be gone on the 5th. So I'm here tomorrow my time, and then I'm gone until Monday. But that's fine. Just, you know, basically through the rest of the week, provide comments. Ack, if you're ready. If not, if you have questions, then on Monday I can bring this up again. Or if anything, if you have any questions for me today, then I can get to it tomorrow my time.
Okay, got it. No problem.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, that's it for the discussion topics. Any more things we need to cover here? Okay, then I think we can finish up the meeting here today. Thanks for joining. Have a good day and a good evening. Bye bye. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.